The day was June 29th, 1956, a big day for the nation. Do you remember it? Maybe not. It must have seemed like just another day. Maybe you had more trouble than usual getting to work that day. Or maybe you were trying to make time crossing the continent. Maybe you were starting off on the big vacation. The weather was perfect for it. You were just going shopping, or trying to. Or trying to get your goods to market. But whatever you were doing, wherever you were, chances are you were part of something like this. That's why June 29th, 1956 is so important. On that day, we decided to leave the past behind, at last. What made June 29th different was the step we took to end this tragic waste of time, money, and lives. In Washington that day, the President of the United States, acting for you, signed into law a bill that would vitally affect your life and mine. This was what made June 29th a day to remember. This bill, the Federal Aid Highway Act, amounts to sort of a new start in life for motoring Americans, and most of us belong in that category. The bill marked the beginning of the largest construction project in the history of the world, which will make the lives of millions of Americans not only easier, but longer. It began here. At St. Charles, Missouri, the first tons of earth were moved to make way for tomorrow. A tomorrow which will look like this. Across the length and breadth of America, this will be the look of the future. This is a vast, complex task which lies before us. A challenging, thrilling task, that of modernizing a nation. Let's see just how big a job it is. The cost of the project on June 29, 1956, was estimated at more than $50 billion. Understand, that's to be spent over a period of years. Now, what are we going to get for our money? Let's put it simply. Here it is. We're going to get a brand new system of highways, roads, and streets in this country. We're going to transform our old, battered, outmoded, and overloaded interstate roads into superhighways that meet the standards and needs of 1975. From the farms to the heart of our cities, we're going to rebuild, improve, replace. Every road map in the USA will be obsolete by June 29, 1975. It's a tremendous project. Let's take it step by step, just as it's spelled out in here. The first part of the plan is the magnificent new interstate highway system. Almost all of these routes already are in existence. However, new roads will be constructed along the same general routes wherever necessary. And new interstate route numbers will be assigned the roads. Each state will decide for itself whether to relocate routes entirely or simply modernize old highways. As a rule, it is thought that most states will prefer to relocate rather than modernize. This will be a super network of more than 40,000 miles of highways connecting more than 90% of all cities with a population of 50,000 or more. That's 209 cities. Over this network, you'll be able to drive from border to border or coast to coast without ever seeing a traffic stoplight. Most of the interstate system will be controlled access divided highways, 4, 6, or 8 lanes, depending on anticipated traffic. Only about 7,000 of the lightest traveled miles will be 2 lanes. Instead of the old-fashioned cross-country grind we've all been accustomed to, with irritating delays, father's frazzled temper, we'll have this: smooth, safe, rapid transportation. More vacation time to spend when we get there, and a better frame of mind when we get there. In some parts of the country, this look of tomorrow can already be seen. We can find it not only along recently completed sections of the new system, but on the turnpikes and toll roads built in the past by private capital or state funds. Some of these toll roads may be incorporated into the interstate system. But the interstate system is only part of the story. Farm-to-market rural roads, as designated by the states, will be improved and new roads built where needed. More roads from country to city will also be constructed. Instead of jolting and jouncing his goods to market, when he can get there at all, the farmer's produce will move over good roads, roads that save him time and money. And our congested cities will also get relief, with freeways and express highways to speed you to work or to route you around the cities when you're crossing the country for business or pleasure. If you live in the city, it means you'll be able to live 30 miles or more from the job and still get to work in half an hour. You'll be able to live where you want, work where you want. This is what the countryside will look like around your town. This will be the look of your city, your highways. Here on this model are represented in greatly condensed form examples of each part of the project. The network of interstate superhighways, the secondary system and farm-to-market roads, and the urban road network which will appear in cities across the nation. Multiply these examples by thousands, and you begin to get an idea of what the project means. And remember, these are state roads. The federal government provides financial support, but the state highway departments will lay out the routes, let the contracts, and administer and maintain the roads. Federal approval is required for interstate highway locations, but otherwise the project belongs to the various states. That's the package. Now let's see how we're going to pay for it. More than half of the cost of the program will be spent on the interstate highway system. The federal government will pay 90%, the states only 10%. City freeways and belt routes. That part of the cost will be shared equally between the federal government and the states affected. The federal government will also pay half of the cost of state highways, farm-to-market roads, and the extension of rural routes to cities. Now, just what does all this mean to you and me? What will it cost us? Well, the best estimate is that it will cost the average motorist $9 per year in additional federal taxes. That's right, $9 to make Anywhere USA look like this. We've already seen some of the immediate personal advantages which will be ours when the project is finished. But what are the other advantages, the long-range benefits? Well, let's take the interstate highway system to begin with. More and more of the things we use come to us by highway. From toothpaste to TV sets, almost all of the things we buy move over the roads at some time en route to the consumer. When they move over roads like these, they move faster, more efficiently. No time is lost in traffic jams. Shipping damage is reduced to a minimum. Each truck makes more trips, hauls more goods. These facts mean economical transportation, and that means lower costs which can be passed on to the consumer. That is one advantage we will have on our new roads. One of the big advantages here is invisible. You can't see it, but you can sense it. I'm speaking of safety. Thousands of lives will be saved each year because this can't happen. No, scenes like that will be left behind us. The new highways will incorporate all the latest safety features. And as the accident and death rate goes down, insurance losses will also decline. We won't have this on the new highways. No blind intersections where death can lie in wait for you. No miles of roadside businesses to interfere with the smooth flow of traffic. Tomorrow's highways will be planned with what highway engineers call controlled access. Now, just what does controlled access mean? Well, it means there will be no crossroads or intersections on the highways. Roads entering and leaving the superhighways will be placed at planned intervals so that there's no interruption of the fast, smooth flow of traffic. There will be no railroad grade crossings, no driveways from homes or business establishments leading to the interstate roads. When you need gasoline or a cup of coffee and a sandwich, a place to stop for the night, you leave the highway by a service road. The congested business areas alongside highways we've known in the past will be eliminated. This means that established businesses along the routes will be protected. New businesses cannot locate at more advantageous spots on the new roads. The service stations, restaurants, and motels and other businesses, which were already in existence along the old routes, will not be threatened by new concerns erected on the highway itself. Controlled access actually means stable or increased property values. Another advantage we will gain from the interstate highway system will be felt in smaller towns and cities. The cross-country motorist will be helped too, but for the merchants in these towns, the advantage will ring a bell, the bell on the cash register. I'm talking about relief routes like this one. A relief route moves cross-country traffic around a town instead of taking it where it doesn't want to go, down the main street. The United States Chamber of Commerce has proved what most drivers have thought for years. Motorists on their way across country are not potential customers for the stores on Main Street. They're in a hurry. When they're forced to drive into town instead of around it, they cause so much traffic congestion that the real customers, the folks who live in or near the town, can't even find parking places when they go shopping. So the new system will provide relief routes. It'll relieve the main streets of America of the burden of heavy, slow, inconvenient, and unprofitable traffic. Main Street will be safer too. Getting the kids to school will no longer be the hazardous thing it often is today. In some parts of the country, the look of tomorrow already is taking shape. And this new concept in road planning and building is changing more than the appearance of America. It's improving the very patterns of our lives. At Rolla, Missouri, some of these effects can now be seen.
I've been in the motel business here in Rolla, Missouri on Highway 66 for a good many years. That is, I was on Highway 66 until our city was bypassed by the new Super 66 about 3 years ago. All the motel operators here, including myself, were greatly worried, didn't know what might happen to our business, but I'm very thankful to say that there's been a steady increase since that time. The change has been beneficial rather than harmful.
I think our neighborhood is safer since the highway no longer goes by here. It's safer for the children crossing the streets to go to school and the library. The bypass has been good for Rolla.
Since our new 66 bypass went through the city of Rolla, we have less traffic congestion and fewer accidents in the city of Rolla. Since Highway 66 was moved from within the city limits, it has been a big help to us here in Rolla because of the fact that we have better and easier parking downtown. There's no through traffic, And as far as business is concerned, we've had gains every year. So we think it's good.
I work at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. It's a drive of 30 miles. Since they put in the bypass, I find it much easier to get out of town and to get back in the evening. I get home in a much better disposition.
In some towns, which already have relief routes, business has gone up as much as 48% above what it was under the old system. Studies by the United States Chamber of Commerce show that these increases far exceeded those of the economy in general, that they were due almost entirely to the relief routes. These effects are being felt across the country in towns of all sizes. In Allentown, Pennsylvania, where 106,000 people live, results have been immediate.
Business has been increased by the relief route. There are more and more customers from outlying areas. People can shop more easily now that through traffic has been reduced.
And in Lexington, North Carolina, population 13,000, the residents have found that
property values in Lexington have increased considerably. Retail sales are up because residents can now get to the shopping district quickly and easily.
in the Midwest, the town of Lawrence, Kansas is typical. It has a population of 23,000, and people there say the relief route is a success.
Through traffic now stays off our streets, making them safer for our children. And when I go shopping, I don't have nearly the parking problem I used to have.
Out west in Wendell, Idaho, a town of 1,400 persons, a businessman had this to say.
This route makes our streets less congested, safer and easier to maintain, and through traffic has no place in a business district.
On the Pacific Coast, it's the same story. 13,800 people live in San Rafael, California, and one of them had this to say.
When a freeway to bypass our town was first proposed, a lot of businessmen felt volume would decline. However, the opposite has happened. Business is up. Now the customer can get to the stores without fighting through traffic.
And not only merchants will find the new look of America profitable, industry too will benefit. More and more factories will be placed in country settings near the new fast highways, which provide rapid, easy access for workers. The time lost in traveling to and from work will be greatly reduced. Employees will not report for work already half tired from battling traffic jams. Better tempers, calmer nerves will be the result. Yes, in suburban settings such as this, a man can get to and from his job much more easily. Not only that, with the increased mobility we will have with the new roads and highways, he can pick and choose his job more than he could in the past. No longer will he have to live near the plant. Instead, he can live on one side of town and work on the other if this provides him greater job opportunities. The highway project will make it easier for him to get to and from the job, but it will do more than that. There will be new jobs, about 880,000 new ones each year in industries not directly connected with actual construction. Almost 200 different industries will be affected. And remember, this doesn't include the manpower needed for the actual design and construction of the roads themselves. We can mention only a few of the industries where new job opportunities will appear. Cement, steel, petroleum products, paving materials, sawmills, coke and coke byproducts, explosives, travel, recreation, entertainment, and many others. The project will act as a healthy, vitalizing chain reaction which will run through the nation, helping to maintain our expanding economy. And yet this is all being done at a bargain price. Because of better methods of planning and building roads, more efficient economical construction is possible today than ever before. But of course, we all have to understand that building highways on such a scale as this, a scale never before attempted, takes time. Because of the most modern and efficient earth-moving machinery, this huge task of moving the millions of yards of earth involved and laying out and constructing the thousands of miles of roads is going on at a record pace. But even so, it will take years to complete all parts of the program. To speed things up, much mapping and surveying will be done from the air. The aerial survey is much more rapid than older methods, particularly in urban or mountainous areas. The information gathered from aerial maps will be fed to automatic computers to determine such things as the type and quantity of fill required for the roadbed. The machines are in motion. The thousands of miles of all-weather highways are beginning to unroll across the nation at a pace never known before. So that's the story. You may not remember exactly what you were doing on June 29, 1956, but that day was vitally important in your life and mine. It marked the beginning of the end of all this. The end of our old-fashioned motoring past. The end of an outmoded system of transportation which no longer has a place in the world of tomorrow. The end of inefficient, costly, dangerous, fatal roads. On June 29, 1956, we turn to the future. A future bright with the promise of the magnificent open road. A future filled with increased ease of travel, increased safety, increased mobility for Americans everywhere. And not only for our time, but for many years to come. Our population is rising steadily. These new roads will make certain that tomorrow's millions will not creep along choked, inadequate highways. The promise of tomorrow will become a sweeping reality on the road ahead.